let's talk Elle Kennedy. Oh, that was so dramatic. Hey guys, it's Ems and welcome back to my reading room. Today we are going to be doing something a little different, and I'm going to be talking to y'all about a specific author and what I think about the books that I've read by them. Today we are going to be talking about Elle Kennedy and the 3 series and 2 standalone books that I have read by her. Starting off on not the best note, let's travel back in time to 2022 when I picked up my first Elle Kennedy book. I picked up the first book in the Avalon Bay series and I DNF'd it. This kind of set the precedent for me with Elle Kennedy. I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna read a book by her again. I didn't love this. I was in my phase where I wasn't really reading spicy or steamy romances. I was reading more young adult, so I was not in love with the way her book in that one was written, and I've seen other reviews of it and not everybody loves it, but I would like to know if I should go back and try that series again now that I've read more Elle Kennedy. After we DNF'd the Avalon Bay series, I then waited about a year. I was definitely avoiding most Elle Kennedy books. I did not know if I was gonna love her series. I did not know if I was gonna like anything by her. But jump forward to December of 2023, I started the off-campus series. And now I'm going to tell y'all what I thought about the 4, technically 5 books in off-campus. As you can tell, I only have 4 of the first 5 off-campus books because we'll get to that. The reason that I started the off-campus series is because Sarah Caroli and kind of other YouTubers were talking about the Graham effect. And I was so intrigued by just the premise of the Graham effect, and I had read a couple hockey romances before that, and I was like, okay, maybe I try Elle Kennedy. Well, then I realized there is a full set of books before that, and they had pretty covers. I did not pick up off-campus until they were animated, drawn covers because I don't like people on my covers, and I'll say that till whatever. Whenever I figured out that they were coming out with pretty covers, I picked up the off-campus series one by one, starting with The Deal. Popular opinion, did not love The Deal. I think some of the trigger warnings, you check trigger warnings, I did not love the way they were dealt with in this book, but I did enjoy the romance. I liked Garrett, but I didn't love him like most people do. I feel like he's definitely set the precedent of hockey boyfriends, and he did in this book. He did a lot of stuff that I was like, okay, like, slay Garrett. But I didn't love, I guess, the story. I honestly remember, like, nothing about this book. I gave this book a 4.25. Thinking about it now, I think I would stick with that, but the fact that I can't literally remember anything about this book is kind of telling. In the first book of the off-campus series, you have Hannah and Garrett, and they make a deal. She's tutoring him, there's some other stuff that goes on, and if you've already read it, you know everything about this book, and you probably love it. But if you haven't read it, I definitely would recommend going into this one first. You may love it, you may not love it, who knows, but I would consider reading the rest of them, even after you get your opinion on The Deal. The next book that I read in the off-campus series is obviously, I went in order, and I went to number 2, which is The Mistake. Can I tell you that I love John Logan? He was literally everything! This book I gave a 4.5. It was one of my favorites in this specific series, and I loved Grace. She was just such a powerhouse, and she knew what she wanted, and she was literally getting it all done. But with her and John Logan, I feel like there was a very specific tension that they had, and he just was like doing everything wrong, and you just kind of get to see him like kind of fix Don't get me started. I love their 2 dynamics. After I read The Deal, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna love Elle Kennedy. I don't know if her books are gonna do it for me. And then I picked up The Mistake, and I was like, ooh, Elle Kennedy's books might do it for me because I'm obsessed with him and I'm obsessed with her. I love a guy who's longing. I don't care who he's longing for. But when he's like groveling and he's like, oh my gosh, like they were everything to me. And while their story I can't really remember as much, I just know that I loved the tension and just kind of everything about the 2 of them together. They were everything to me. They were 4.5 because obviously there was some stuff that I probably didn't love, and I was like, nope, whatever. In The Mistake, you have Logan and Grace, and they meet each other one night, and you kind of see this like connection between them, but then they push each other away because he's going through something that he's like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, maybe I need to stop. But then he's like, I want her. And she makes him grovel. She just really makes him work for what he wants. And I definitely really loved that about this book. I just really enjoyed them two together. And I feel like I could say it a million times. Like, they were just everything to me. The next book are my absolute babies. I love them with all my heart. We have book number 3, Elle and Dean. Dean is the playboy. He's with everybody. He's the get with everyone. I don't care who they are guy in the friend group. And then you have Elle. Elle is this long-term relationship girly. She's in a relationship and then she gets out of one and she's like, I don't know what to do. And she sees Dean. They're at this house together because she wants to stay away from her boyfriend and she has him hold her phone. Well, then after that, you're like, they are everything. They are forbidden. They are tension. They are banter. They are everything. I love Dean. His kind of self-development in this book was everything to me. There's definitely some sadder topics in this one, and I would definitely check trigger warnings because this one will get you in your feels. Elle was literally everything to me, and I loved her with all my heart. She was literally so cool, and seeing her in any other book, I'm like, yes, queen! Queen Elle! But I love Elle. There's definitely some bigger plot points in this one that I love that kind of weave into the rest of the books for off campus. And I just like, this was a 4.75 for me. I didn't love the heartbreak at the end and I wasn't connected to the heartbreak enough to like cry and want to give the book a better rating. So it bumped it down for me, which is kind of sad to say. But I wasn't like super connected to that part of the story, and I think that's what bumped it down. And if you're gonna read any of them, Elle and Dean, please read them. The next Elle Kennedy book I read was the 4th, and for me, last book in the off-campus series, which is The Goal. I gave this book a 4.25. Thinking about it now, it's probably a 4-star. I haven't thought about these characters since I read the book. Even in any of the other Elle Kennedy books I've read, I haven't thought about them. I liked Sabrina, but she wasn't a female main character that I was able to relate to and love. There was just some stuff that she was very kind of stuck up about, and I didn't love reading that from her point of view. John Tucker is obviously just the sweetest little king, and he knows what he wants, and he's doing what he wants, but their story was not for my heart. Sabrina in the score kind of got in my brain when I read Sabrina in The Goal. So it was like kind of like a lose-lose situation where I was like, I kind of didn't like her in here, so now I'm not gonna love her in here. Which she had character development that made me enjoy her in this book. I just didn't like. If you're gonna read off campus, I definitely would say start with the first 4. And the off-campus series is definitely one of my favorites from her. I didn't love off-campus as much as I loved another little area we'll talk about, but it's definitely one of my first kind of favorites that definitely got me into Elle Kennedy and made me enjoy and want to read more from her. If you're thinking about reading Elle Kennedy, I would definitely start with Off Campus. Then we get into something that I did wrong. Yes, I did something wrong. That something wrong was my reading order, because I read Off Campus after literally everything was already out. But I was being stingy and I did not read Briar U until the pretty covers came out. And I feel like that kind of set me up for a little bit of failure. But you don't need to read Briar U to read the Campus Diaries series, which we will get into next. You don't have to. But the characters from Briar U are definitely interweaved into this story, and I just wish I knew some of them more. Now I have read Briar U, and we'll get into that, but I want to reread these because I didn't get all the references. If you read Off Campus and you are planning on reading Briar U and Campus Diaries, I would tell you to read Briar U first. She writes totally differently. There's stuff that goes on that you definitely should know just for Campus Diaries, but if you don't want to read Briar U, you do not have to. You can definitely go into The Graham Effect knowing nothing. I mean, that's literally what I did, and I still had a great time reading them all. So do as you will, but I definitely would say maybe read Briar U first. But now we get back into what I did, and I read The Graham Effect after Off Campus. It was the first book I read after I finished the off-campus series, and I genuinely enjoyed it so much. In The Graham Effect, you have Gigi Graham, who is the daughter of Hannah and Garrett Graham, and you're getting their daughter's story. Her story is crazy. Not really, but there's some stuff that goes on in here, and I would definitely check trigger warnings if you need to. It is thick. Like, the Campus Diary series is like 500 pages compared to Off Campus, but I ate up every single page. I gave The Graham Effect a 4.75. I loved Gigi and I loved Ryder. Ryder was everything to me, and the found family between some of the friend group and hockey team in this, I absolutely loved. There was friendships, there was family dynamics, and there was kind of just everything in this book that I enjoyed. You're getting Gigi, who is the daughter of Garrett Graham. Well, she is also a hockey player. Her dad is obviously the big hockey player in the league. He's like the best guy ever, and she's trying to get out of his shadow. And I wouldn't consider it in his shadow. I think she just doesn't want to be compared to him. So she's trying to figure out how to push her goals, and she needs a little help. So she makes a deal. Her and Ryder strike up a deal, and she's working with Ryder on her skills because he's also a hockey player. And she is making Ryder seem well for her dad because her dad is obviously this big hockey player, and Ryder will need his like approval. Ryder and her dad kind of step off on the wrong foot, so she just needs to kind of hype Ryder up and make it seem like he needs, I don't know, he needs to be there working at these camps and stuff. Elle Kennedy definitely wrapped up the two series in here together well. Like you're really getting Gigi's story while still getting a little bit of Garrett and a little bit of Hannah, but not too much to where it's like, okay, you literally could have just wrote another book. But I love Gigi, and I'm really excited to see how she does the other kids. Parents, please, please, please give me Allie and Dean. Give me Allie and Dean. We are going to make a little turn. Next book I read by Elle Kennedy was not in a series, and this is the standalone that I told you all about. I read Girl Abroad. I gave this book a 4.25, and I absolutely loved the characters. This is about Abby, who goes abroad to go live in London, and when she gets to London, she thinks she's gonna be living with 3 girls, and she ends up living with 3 boys. And her dad is this kind of protective, and he was a kind of famous musician before, and she's just trying to get away from that. And in this new area, you see a love triangle, you see friendships, but you also see a mystery that goes on, and I absolutely devoured the mystery in this book. I was obsessed with kind of how it paralleled with her, and the way that Elle Kennedy wrote that, I ate it up. I was like, that's my 4.25, that part of the story. I enjoyed the premise of the love triangle, and I eat up a love triangle. Sue me, I don't know. But the way that she did one of the love triangle, like one of the guys in the love triangle, I absolutely hated. Consider this probably not one of my favorite Elle Kennedy books, but as a standalone, I really enjoyed it. And if there were more, I think I would still eat it up. Like, I think I would be able to like enjoy the found family, because they had found family just like in this. So if there was like more, I feel like I'd like eat that up. After Girl Abroad, we get back into my deep dive of the off-campus, Campus Diaries, Briar U, and we go into Dixon Rule. With the Dixon Rule, I wish that I read Briar U before I read this, because there was so many characters intertwined in this book that I just had no clue who they were talking about. I was like, wow, they must be from Briar Dixon Rule. I gave a 4.5. I love Diana. She was such a powerhouse, and I really enjoyed the way she was written. Shane was everything. He was a little cutie, and I definitely enjoyed their plotline in this story. Gigi and Ryder in here were definitely super fun, and I loved getting to like see them every once in a while. There's a plot that goes on with Gigi in this book that is kind of why there's so many Briar U people, and I loved that part of the story. You have Diana, who is this ballroom dancer. She's a cheerleader. She's kind of doing everything, and you see her live in this apartment complex, and then she gets a neighbor. She does not like this neighbor. He gets with all her cheerleader friends, and she's like, I don't like this guy. Like, I genuinely, like, I don't like him. And you meet Shane. Guess who Shane is? Shane is that neighbor. And you kind of see them be hostile towards each other, but in like, you could say that it's like in a hatred way, but they were kind of friendly. And you meet Will and Beckett. I love Will and Beckett. Will and Beckett you meet in like the first chapter, and I loved them throughout the rest of the book ever since then. They were everything to me, and I'm so excited. They are the next book. They're in the next book. I loved Will. He was such a cutie, and he had some parts in here that I was like, this book is spicy with a capital S. Like, I feel like it's more spicy than most of her other books, but it's okay. There is some trigger warnings in here, so I definitely would check your trigger warnings. It's very similar to The Score, in where there's a sad thing that happens at the end of the book, and you're just like, but again, very similar to The Score, I was not connected to these specific characters, and I ended up not caring, which bumped down my rating a little bit. Now, as you've seen, I have only given Elle Kennedy books from the 4 to 4.75 region. There has not been a book yet that has satisfied me in my Elle Kennedy needs. Well, then I finally picked up Briar U. I found the first 2 new covers at Books A Million, and there's actually a vlog of that, so if you want to go see me find these little books. I went to Books A Million for the first time. I read these books this month. It's been maybe like a week and a half since I've read these, so I remember literally every detail, and I'm about to tell you. The first one that I read is The Chase. I started with number 1, and this is Summer and Fitzy's book. I love them. Summer is Dean from The Score's sister, and as you know, I love myself some Dean. Well, you know what I love? I love myself some Summer. I am obsessed with her. She talks about fashion, her banter with everyone, just her in general. Like, I literally love her so much. Her as a main character, she was everything to me. Her confidence, the way she just became friends with Brenna. I love them. Brenna and Summer's friendship in here definitely is what made me just love this book. The tension and the romance between Summer and Fitzy, even when they're not, like, even when they don't even like each other, they just have they just were everything, and I loved them so much. And if you can't tell, I gave this book a 5 stars. This is the first book that I've ever given by Elle Kennedy a 5, and I love them with all my heart. I read this book, I woke up one morning and I was like, fine, I'll read it, fine, I'm gonna read it. I spent the entire day reading it. I started it at home and I finished it in the car. I was just reading in the car. I loved them, I loved their dynamic, and here is something that I'm gonna tell you. I did not love Hunter in this book. He plays a part in here, and I did not love him. He was just kind of there, but we'll get to that. Okay, this is something that's probably gonna be controversial, but I liked Jake and Brenna in this book more than I did in their own. I loved them in here. Their tension and their banter, and Summer just kind of like pushing it onto them. Like, I was obsessed with that in this book. The kind of rivalry between Harvard and Briar in this series, in this book, I loved it. I ate it up. This book is about Summer and Fitzy, and they kind of meet every once in a while. They see each other and nothing happens. And then one day at New Year's, he says some things about her. And you'll see. And then she has to move in with him. She becomes roommates with 3 guys. Oh. Elle Kennedy, we're seeing a cycle. Becomes roommates with 3 guys because she gets kicked out of her sorority and has to move in, and you'll see what goes on from there. I love them, and they're everything to me, and they're my first 5 stars, so they're literally my babies. They are my it couple. They're everything to me. Next, we talk about a fan favorite, which is number 2 in Briar U, and it is The Risk. This is Jake and Brenna's story. I really enjoyed Jake and Brenna, but they were not my everything. I literally sat at home and I read this in a day, and maybe it was because of the setting, but there was some stuff that happened in here, check your trigger warnings, that I just like could not. Like, it hurt me to read about. And I love Brenna, and I think I loved Brenna's confidence in every other book of this series, but I think getting into her story and not really being able to see that confidence is kind of what I was like, where'd my confident queen go? And it hurt me too much to be like, I love this book. I was like, where's my queen? Brenna is the daughter of Coach Jensen, who is the coach of the Briar U hockey team. She gets involved with Jake Connolly, who is the, everybody clap of hands. He is the captain of the hockey team at Harvard. So it is a forbidden romance. There's definitely some miscommunication that goes on in this book that I didn't love. I enjoyed them together. There was like the kind of forbiddenness of it was very fun. And them two as a couple and Brenna as a person, I loved a lot. And I think I didn't love it because there's something that goes on with her and Summer in this book. And I love her in Summer. I love her in Summer. And I was like, why are you doing this, Brenna? This book a 4.5. I'll put it here. I don't really remember. Next, we have Hunter's book. And as I told you, in Summer and Fitzy's book, I did not love Hunter. I think it's because he wasn't the main love interest. I was just like, hey, he's here. In book number 3, The Play, I gave this book a good 5 stars. I love Hunter Davenport. Hunter this, Hunter that, Hunter. I love him. Demi Davis, I love her. Out of all of Briar U, Hunter and Demi are my favorite. I love them so much. I love the plot. I love the friendship. I love everything about them. I have learned in the past couple weeks that friends to lovers is my favorite trope. I'm a friends to lovers girly because they were everything to me. Marry me, Hunter Davenport. Marry me, Demi Davis. Marry me, The Play. The Play, marry me, please. I love you. I was at a friend's house and I went out on her porch and I got in her hammock and I read like 130 and then we had to go eat with some friends. And sitting on her porch while it was like getting into daylight, because I woke up kind of early. I woke up at like 7 a.m. for some reason. And I was like, I'm gonna go read outside. I read outside for like 3 hours. They were like, let's go. And I was like, okay. And then we went to a pool and I finished the entire book sitting in a cute little, what do you call them? Inflatable. And I ate up every moment. And I think the setting is definitely what like made me absolutely love reading this book. But I loved everything about them. I think if I read it in my room, on my couch, in my bed, whatever, I don't know where I'm sitting, I would still give it a 5 stars. In The Play, you have Hunter, who just kind of, he gets heartbroken by a girl and he kind of becomes this playboy. He literally becomes Dean and he's just messing with everybody, and something happens and he goes on a strike. He becomes celibate. He's not getting with anyone. And then he meets Demi and they become friends. She has a boyfriend. So she's off limits. He loves this. They're best friends now. They're working on a project together and he knows nothing can happen between them, so they become very good friends. Well, Hunter delivers this news to Demi and she finds out some stuff. You'll see from there what happens, but I love jealous Hunter. He's everything to me. And Connor in this book, I love Connor in here. Connor in here was so fun and cute. Love the found family of everybody in this book. Hunter and Demi, if Summer and Fitzy are everything to me, Hunter and Demi are my world. I love them. I haven't stopped thinking about them. I literally was in a book slump for like a good amount of time just because I loved them so much. And the reason I gave this 5 stars is because the third act conflict was crazy, but I was so connected to the characters that I didn't bump it down a star. I'm sorry, I'm so excited. I loved the characters so much in this book that I was able to give it a 5 stars even when something crazy happened in the third act conflict. I loved them so much. And Demi, she was just such a powerhouse. And her, Brenna, and Summer in these books, they are literally everything. Like the confidence they give you. Like I love reading a confident character because it makes me feel confident about myself. Like why I'm in a book to escape. I am here to love you and you are here to make me love me. Like I'm here for everything. I don't even want to talk about the next book because I just love The Play so much and I really enjoyed Connor in here. But I guess we're gonna have to do it. The next book is the 4th book called The Dare. And I gave this book 2 stars. Oh, you didn't hear. I gave this book 2 stars because I did not like this book at all. Some of the stuff that happens in here is just plain out gross. And like, I know that it can happen in real life, but I'm just like, I don't want to think about it. The premise of the book was fun, the dare. Taylor is in this sorority and there's one girl that really doesn't like her, so she's daring her to do all this stuff. She dares her to go up to Connor, and Connor is just like very nice about it, and they become friends. And then you kind of see what goes on from there. There's just multiple miscommunication tropes in here, and the way that Taylor thinks about herself, all my 5 stars, I think, is a confident, well-written character. Just did not really like herself, and I could not deal with it because I'm like, I'm here to read about people like being happy, and there's some ways that you can write an insecure character that I will still enjoy. It's just the way Elle Kennedy wrote her, like, I couldn't do it. And Connor was also kind of just hated himself as well. It was like they just didn't like themselves, but they liked each other, and there was so much miscommunication, and I read it in a day, and I was like, okay, I read this in a day, but I still didn't like it. So it was a 2 stars. That was my thoughts on Briar U. As you can tell, I left an 8 up, and then we had a, what do you call this? An outlier. Can you guess which one I really liked and which one I didn't like? Oh, well, that was literally an accident, but the Chase knows that I love it. Those are all the Elle Kennedy books that I have read. I have read Briar U, Off Campus, and Campus Diaries with a standalone of Girl Abroad. Are there any other Elle Kennedy books you think I would like? Please let me know because I would love to read more. Please link Hunter Davenport merch in the comments because I would love Hunter Davenport merch. Those are the books that I've read by Elle Kennedy and everything that I've thought about Elle Kennedy. I enjoy some of her books and I love some of her other books, and then some books don't hit. So she is a hit or miss author for me, but I'm super excited for I'm excited for Charlie and Will and Beckett's book because I'm obsessed with them, and I loved everything about Shane and Diana's book with Will and Beckett in it, and I'm very excited for Will and Beckett. And if you have any other series that you think are similar to Elle Kennedy's, Briar U, Off Campus, Campus Diaries that you think I should read, please let me know. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all have anything to say about Elle Kennedy in the comments, let me know. Please make it nice, and if it's not nice, say it nicely. And I would like more Let's Talk About. I would love to do a Let's Talk About Elsie Silver. Maybe we wait until Wild Eyes comes out so I can just hopefully rave about that book. I want to read Wild Eyes so bad. If y'all like this video, please let me know, and I would love to do more. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Thank you for coming to my little library. Bye. See you later.